Hi, my name's Tom. I'm a writer for T3 Magazine and T3.com, and this is Libby, our reviews editor. Last week we saw rumours were rife surrounding the new Samsung Galaxy S5 phone. This week, however, we're going to start looking at actually the specs we'd like to see and what we can expect from the launch at MWC. We had the invite. Here it is, Unpacked 5. Wasn't very subtle, was it?
It wasn't, no. The 5 was a bit of a giveaway.
Was just a little bit. They've been gradually getting less subtle as the years go on, I think. They've just given up trying to hide it, so they get on with it. Next, we had the invite for the webcast, and that actually gave us a few more clues, didn't it?
Yep, these are the kind of features that Samsung seems to be focusing on. Obviously, we've got privacy, fitness. These are all things that we first saw on the iPhone launches recently. Yeah, and
they've increasingly become a bigger deal, haven't they, with BlackBerry doing their split OS, one between work and one between play, and Samsung also did it as well, I believe. On top of that, we've got fun. Not entirely sure what.
Yeah, that's a bit vague, that one. Looks like it could be a camera, like a fun camera.
Yeah.
But it could mean anything.
Samsung are known for putting in quirky features on their phones, aren't they?
Yeah.
We actually have we have a rough idea of the specs that we think might be appearing on the phone. So first up, a 5.24-inch AMOLED display with a 560 pixel per inch density. Do you think that's likely?
Yeah, I think so. That looks like pretty good specs. I think that's the sort of thing that we can expect to see.
I mean, what you're looking for, I guess, is kind of something around 4K being the next step, isn't it? I mean, because we've had full HD. I mean, now we're just going to keep going, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's debatable whether 4K, there's going to be any point having it on a mobile phone, but
exactly.
If they can, why not?
Exactly. Next up, 3 GB of RAM and a 3264 GB of memory. I mean, that's pretty much, it's on the Note 3.
Fairly standard.
You'd expect it by now, yeah. 16 megapixel camera.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. That puts it at least in line with all of the other top tier smartphones that are around, if not better than. So yeah, that looks like a fairly safe bet.
I guess the one to beat there is the Xperia Z1 with its 20 megapixel camera and the HTC One with their ultra pixel. The rumour surrounding the HTC One was that it was going to have a depth of field.
Yeah, like the Litro.
Yeah. Is that something that would be worth putting into a new phone, is it?
It's possible. I think the Litro camera is a great idea, but I don't think anyone's necessarily going to spend that money on one unit. But if it's built into a phone, they might use it more.
Okay, cool. We'll have a look at some of the features. I mean, this kind of reiterates what we were talking about with the invite. So S Health and the latest version of Android, KitKat. Screen as a fingerprint sensor.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's complete nonsense, because that sounds preposterous.
Yeah, I would go with that. I mean, I know technology is moving on quickly, and as we've seen with the Touch ID and with the HTC One Max, although that didn't work as well, I think having an entire screen, it just wouldn't be, I think, plausible or...
Yeah, it sounds like it's something that's not going to happen.
Something I get very annoyed about, I don't know whether anyone else does, metallic versus plastic. The S phones have been notoriously plastic in the past, with Samsung vehemently defending the idea of using plastic. What would you prefer?
I think metal looks and feels better. All of the most recent Galaxy phones have felt a bit plasticky, even though they're supposed to be, the flagships.
Yeah.
And then we saw the HTC One last year, which had a really cool metallic finish. So I think we might see something like that this time.
I don't know how they can't not put it in now, because with so many flagship phones now including it as standard, the Xperia Z, as you say, the HTC One, the iPhone as well, it's pretty much always been metal the moment it hit the iPhone 4. It would seem out of place, I think, if they didn't try and catch up. Next up is the new version of Android. Now, of course, we'd hoped that it was running KitKat. We wouldn't put it past them though. And then there's this leak of the interface. So, I mean, what's the first thing that stands out, I think?
It looks quite radically different from the last UI on the S4, and it actually does look a little bit similar to the Blink feed from HTC One, which kind of puts together sort of news and social updates all in one.
I agree. It was the first thing. It was the first thing that popped into my head was when I looked at it. I immediately kind of saw there are some other renders actually that show the full version of the social feed, and it does look very similar to Blink feed. I just like the icon design. It seems to just all looks a bit more grown up. I don't know about you, but I thought TouchWiz It's looked
looks
pretty
a bit dated.
Yeah, it looks a bit dated, much in the same way that I think Sony's UI looks quite dated now. But actually, funnily enough, we might have already got a glimpse of the new TouchWiz interface on this, the Galaxy Pro, which was Samsung's 12.2-inch tablet. You can actually already see on the UI they've gone for the same kind of block-based interface. Kind of pulls in and aggregates social feeds, your calendar, your emails, all into a kind of tile-based.
It is a little bit similar to the Windows 8 interface, which is tile-based.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of people thought when it was first introduced. And I think Google, I've heard rumours that they weren't too happy about it because it points towards Samsung's content hub rather than Google's. So I don't know how similar the new UI is going to be on the new phone. I think it might be more similar to this than the magazine UX.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what do you think? Do you like it? Do you prefer it over the last one?
I think this looks good. I'm not so sure about the blink feed style home screen.
Is that because you don't like blink feed anyway, or just?
It seems a bit pointless to me.
Yeah? I don't know. I guess it seems like it's a great way to pass the time. If you've got 10 minutes spare, you're just going to flick through it and look at a few things. But at the same time, what's the difference between just going to a dedicated app, which you'd do anyway?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the rough idea of what we think it'll look like. Next up is the news that there might actually be 2 Samsung Galaxy S5s.
Yeah, that's right. When the iPhone launched, obviously the most recent model came in 2 iterations, the 5S and the 5C, so covering 2 different price points. There's been a lot of rumour that that's what's going to happen with the S5, with 2 different processors on the different handsets.
We've seen some leaked images already. The boxing could be complete rubbish, but from looking at the specs, it looks like there is definitely going to be a 5.5-inch version. I'd assume that's the biggest one.
I would hope so, because otherwise it's going to be enormous.
Yeah, the phones are just getting massive. Like the LG G2 is already 5.2 inches, I think, biggest. It's enormous. So what we might look as, so maybe not a budget and a high-end version, but maybe just 2 different screen sizes.
Yeah, perhaps, and maybe 2 different finishes, maybe even a metal finish and a plastic finish.
Yeah. Of course, what everyone will be wondering is whether the S5 will differ from the S4. I think it's safe to say the S4 certainly split opinions in the office. I mean, your view was?
I thought it was a bit big, personally, for a handset. I know lots of people like it. I did think that the build quality, the back, felt very plasticky for a phone that expensive. So I'd like to see a better build quality on the new phone. And I think the S4 didn't seem to be a massive step up from the S3. So I think this time they need to really pull something out the bag to get people's attention. I
agree. I think it's always been a challenge for the smartphone makers to keep up with that yearly schedule, is that we expect something incredible. And of course, one of the big issues with the S4 was that their version of a big jump was all of the extra stuff that you got on the software, which was just mind-bogglingly annoying. So you had like kind of smart stay, smart scroll, smart pause, all these things that use the camera on the front. So like one of the most ridiculous, smart scroll that used your eye to scroll. I mean, it just wasn't functional, was it?
It was kind of pointless and something that people didn't really need, and it didn't work perfectly either. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's been either ditched, or it might still be there, but I don't think they'll be trying to use that as a selling point.
No, I agree. One of the most surreal moments was like opening up the phone, scrolling down what was Android's like normal like control bar, and just being confronted with this army of different things that you could turn on or off. Yeah,
I think we need to see a few more hardware tweaks rather than so many slightly pointless software tweaks.
I think something that no one is going to forget is the launch. What
How
a launch.
could we? It was amazing.
I don't think it was a positive memory that's going to stay in my head from it.
No, I think Samsung may have gone a little bit over the top on the last launch. I think the all singing, all dancing debut of the S4 in New York was a little bit embarrassing, I think some people might have said.
I think embarrassing might be that. I think it made everyone feel a little bit awkward, really, didn't it?
Yeah. We
are pretty sure that the S5 is going to be launched next week. So here's hoping that the next one will be in February and it won't be as cringeworthy as that one.
That is what we're hoping. And that's all we've got for now on the Galaxy S5 rumours. Check back next week for more updates and subscribe to the YouTube channel for all the latest news.